Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are looking at the last part of the second verse here in this particular section, which has 3 verses, and Pratar Jagaranartha Nirnayaha it is called. It is the ascertainment of the waking up. And so, continuing on that, what does it say? It says that Tanmatachayam Dinacharya Apadeshatah Vadami. And here, you can see what a sophisticated poet he is, because in giving in even introducing the subject matter in the form of a prayer, he has given the whole vision of Vedanta. How beautiful. And the vision of Vedanta includes the methodology of the teaching. So he's not just given the vision of Vedanta, he's also giving the teaching methodology by which ignorance becomes removed. 9/10 of Vedanta teaching methodology is the removal of ignorance. 1/10 is the affirmation of the knowledge. So he knows this. And so therefore he says, whatever Lord Shiva taught Parvati, then I am going to just teach a shadow of that. And on the one hand, it looks like it is a testament to his humility, which it is. He's talking of how humble he's demonstrating his humility. And then when you look deeper, this so-called, the word chaya here is the shadow. When you look at the shadow, then you can see that which casts the shadow is not far away from the shadow. Similarly, the teaching methodology of Vedanta involves unfolding or revealing the nature of the I to the I, from whom that I is partially hidden. It involves a lot of work on one level to really figure out how to make this how to hone in this. So who is the one who needs to know about the nature of the I? I. And then what does the I need to know? Ironically, the nature of the I. The I needs to know the nature of the I. And then the I has to be taught the nature of the I without objectifying the I, which is the subject, which is never an object. How to do that? That's why we need these indicatory words, because it accomplishes the impossible. Because if you want to know something, there are only 2 ways to know it. First is, it should be the vastu, which is the object of knowledge, must be pramana siddha. Pramana siddha means revealed by a means of knowledge. Children play this game. I spy with my little eyes something green, and then the other children have to guess what is that green thing. And so the same thing. I spy with my eyes, I hear with my ears, I taste with my tongue, I touch with my hands. So this is This is what is, this is most of the world, most of the things in the world, in the Jagat, belong to the category of Pramana Siddha Vastu. Vastu, So Pramana Siddha Vastu, meaning the objects are incapable of revealing themselves. Other than the eye, what else can reveal itself? Nothing. No, but I saw the crab. Yeah, the crab is not or the shell of the crab rather. I saw the crab shell on my walk at the beach. Crab shell you saw. If you hadn't seen it, it would be as good as uncognized. So you see, you are cognizing this. So the whole gamut of things that you encounter in the world come under this particular rubric of Pramana Siddha Vastu. Siddha, accomplished, known, Pramana, by a means of knowledge. In other words, all the things in the world are dependent upon a means of knowledge to become evident. So that's the first category of things. In the second category comes what is called Svatasiddha Vastu. Now, how many Svatasiddha Vastus are there? Svatasiddha Vastu means self-revealing Vastu. How many are there? One and only, and that happens to be you. So this Svatasiddha Vastu, meaning it is self-evident. So if the I is self-evident, does it need to be taught? That's very strange. It's like showing a flashlight to the sun to ratify the existence of the sun. That is very silly. In fact, there is a great discussion about this in the Brahma Sutra. If you say that your Atma is self-evident, the Purva Pakshi or the one who is an argumentative objector says, if your Atma, as you say, is self-evident, that which is self-evident doesn't need to be taught. and then the corollary that is not mentioned is, if it is not self-evident, it cannot be taught about the self-evident I, really. And then so okay, so if the objector will say like this, if it is self-evident, then what is the purpose of teaching it? What is the purpose of having all these retreats? You don't sit quiet for a minute. You keep having retreats, and then we also keep attending, and then we are learning all these things. Why are we studying? Why do we need all this? And then so here this is one paksha, one particular argument, wrong argument. Because the answer, of course, is going back to our orientation lecture and yesterday. And what was that? The I is known. Yes, it is known, because if I ask you, are you here? You will have to say, yes, I am. So the I is known. Oh, then it doesn't need to be taught. Not so fast. The I is known as existent and evident. That I exist, I know. But don't ask me the next question. What is the next question? Who are you really? What is your nature? Because all the wrong answers which have been internalized since childhood, if not since past lives, will come out. I'm an idiot, I'm a donkey, I'm a monkey, I'm this, I'm that, I lack this, I lack that, my life is lackluster, I don't have this, I don't have that, when am I going to get this, when am I going to get that? Why me? Why not somebody else? All this will come if you ask the person, who are you? Who are you, matlab? How much time do you have? This is what the whole thing is. How much time do you have to learn about my sad autobiography? Chapter 1, why me? Chapter 2, oh no. Chapter 3, this is not fair. Chapter 4, I deserve better. This is what it is. And chapter 5, conclusion, no, it never concludes. It just carries over to the next life, and the life after that, and the life after that. This sad story. And then somebody will take the sad story and make a sad movie, and a whole lot of people will go with big popcorn dabbas and then sit and cry in their popcorns and eat this. This is called entertainment, okay? This is what it is. So now very interesting. What we have to look at here is that the nature of the I, while it is self-evident, is not known for what it is. Three things have to become very clear about I, about the self. One is the I is self-evident, point number one. Point number two, the self, although the I is self-evident, nobody needs to validate or ratify its existence. This is true. But the I is not completely understood as it is. It is only partially understood. Like even our example given yesterday of the rope snake. So, and here we always use the rope snake analogy because we want to look at the projections. We have to look at the scary projections upon the innocent rope. There are made some scary projections. And all the people are looking at it at twilight. Like the I, the rope is partially known, which makes it a sitting duck for all kinds of aropa. Aropa means what? All kinds of, various projections. Projections is called aropa. So the adhisthana, which is the rope, which is the rope sthaniya, which occupies the place of the rope, is known because you know something is lying on the ground, but it is not known that it is a rope. It is not known as it is. Yathartha jnanam is not there. In other words, yathartha jnanam means knowledge of something exactly as it is not there. That is lacking. Why? Because in the example we have low light, poor lighting. Okay, so then what? Number 3, therefore, the object here, we are illustrating the I. Since the I is only partially understood, the I becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of projections and wrong understandings. Misunderstandings, misidentifications. This is a very important point. So these 3 points we have to understand. First is that unlike all the other things in the universe, this I is self-evident. Number 2, even though it is self-evident, it is only partially understood. And number 3, because it is partially understood, it becomes the subject matter, it becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of wrong notions to eclipse the I. So to put it back into the example of the snake and the rope, very interesting. So what is the rope? The rope is called adhisthana. That which is the recipient of all projections here is adhisthana. And the projections themselves are called aropa. Visualize this, that there is a group of people in twilight looking at this rope. One says, oh no, it's a snake. The other one says, stupid, I know it's a snake, but what kind of a snake? The third fellow says, it is a cobra because it has a hood and the rope indeed appears to be thicker at the top. And the third one says, yes, you're right, it's a cobra. I can see its split tongue, darting in and out. And so-called split tongue was the frayed rope. Frayed rope and frayed off the rope, pun intended, okay? So the frayed rope is the split tongue, and then it has certain spots. Oh, maybe it's a rattlesnake. So like this, all these people are doing a PhD right then and there on the nature of the snake. And then 4 people are there trying to do a dissertation on the nature of the snake. And then what happens? Somebody comes with a cell phone which has a flashlight, and the flashlight is shined on the so-called snake, revealing its adhisthana, the rope. Similarly, the eye is mistaken to be as good as the body, as good as the mind, as good as the senses, as good as its lifespan, so many years, as good as what it has. I have, I only have this much, as good as what it doesn't have. It constantly defines itself through these mechanisms, through these wrong understandings. So there is no way for it to know that I am Chidanandamayi, I am Chidanandamayi Chitihi. There is no way of knowing that. There is no way of inferring that, because the inferer's nature is what we are talking about. There is no way of seeing that because it's not an object of sight. There is no way of doing anything because it is not pramana siddha vastu, it is svata siddha vastu. It is not something, it is not an entity. The I is not an entity, what is that called, unfolded by the pramana. It is a svata siddha vastu. It is a self-evident I. So therefore what? So therefore it has to be taught. Yet it cannot be taught, because what are you going to teach? How are you going to teach the I without making an object of it? Very interesting. And besides, the adhisthana, see, this is the thing. So maybe the I is non-existent. You cannot say that, because without the adhisthana, there can be no aropa. No aropa is possible without the presence of adhisthana. The presence of adhisthana alone aropa is possible, and the aropa removed, the adhisthana is self-evident, it shines. This is so the whole Vedanta Shastra is committed to ajnana nivrittihi, not jnana pravrittihi. We are not chasing after self-knowledge. We are removing the ignorance. And in the removal of the ignorance, that I, which is Satchidananda, shines. So the knowledge of Vedanta is not an aha moment that happens to the self. This has to be very, very clear. And I always find it funny when some people in the spiritual circles, there are some people who celebrate their Enlightenment Day. Maybe that was the day some other people, their students, understood what a wonderful guru this was. That is okay, acceptable. So then the day is for the student, not for the teacher. So if there was an Enlightenment Day, that means what? Yesterday I was ignorant, and today something happened and then I was suddenly enlightened. That means this so-called enlightenment, self-knowledge, comes under the spate of time. Self-knowledge is not an event that happens to the self in time. It has to be understood more in terms of a growing clarity as the debris of raga dvesha, as the eclipse of wrong notions, as the dust of desires is removed with the force of Atma Jnanam, with the force of the teachings of Vedanta. That is why the Upanishads and the Vedanta, works of Vedanta present the teachings from a two-pronged approach. Neti, 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 not this, you are not this, you are not this, you are not this. Mano buddhi ahankara chittani na aham. I'm not the mind, I'm not just the body, I'm not just the senses, nor am I the five elements which has given birth to all this. Then, that is the first set of statements that we encounter in the Upanishads and in the gamut of Vedanta Shastra, Bhagavad Gita, etc. And then the second set of statements are iti, iti, iti. You are what? You are the whole. You are Satchidanandam Brahma. You are immortal. You are free of sorrow. In the light of this oneness that you have sought, there is no sorrow possible, no fear possible. You are free of fear. So the two kinds of statements are very important because you can't just have one. And similarly, in this mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham, and then, na cha shrotra jihve, na cha grana netre, na cha vyoma bhumihi, na tejo na vayuhu. You can't leave it there. What is the refrain? Chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. I am in the form of this Chidananda which is being described in this verse. That is affirmed. Because all the nonsensical thoughts sitting inside the ahankara like a house of a compulsive hoarder. This is what it is, I was sitting back when we could fly, when we could actually think of flying. I was sitting in an airport waiting at the gate for my flight, and then the TV that they have there was on, and I just looked. It was some kind of a show that was playing, and in this show there was a camera going into somebody's house, a hoarder's house, some show about hoarders. And the person couldn't even set foot, full of boxes. The person is a shopaholic and a hoarder, and then full of all kinds of things. If you touch something, 10 things would fall off, and this is how the person's house was, a total mess. In fact, they had not seen their pet cat, this couple, in 2 months. It was somewhere. And there was no dearth of food for the cat because the house was full of rats and cockroaches, and the cat was happily eating somewhere and behind a few boxes at any given time. And then what did these people do? They brought the trucks, and then they just took out everything and then sent it off God knows where, probably to a landfill, because where else will it go? It was in such bad shape. And then the woman of the house, oh, here are my keys. Oh, the woman said, here is my favorite book. Oh, the child said, this is my homework from 6 months ago. I wondered what happened to my art history homework book. And the husband also said something like that. So many things they had thought were gone, they had thought were lost, including their sanity was returned when the house was, the TV crew did a good job, and then, they sent them to a hotel and they painted the house and cleaned it, and then told them that, they can conduct a inspection anytime, a surprise inspection. They have to keep it like this. And similarly, the Antakarana is that of a hoarder. Hoarders Anonymous, full of raga, full of dvesha, boxes of resentment. Why boxes of resentment? Because that resentment makes one feel like boxing somebody. Boxes of resentment and, leaks of all kinds of sorrow. And heaps of feeling that, guilty. Oh, I can't stand my own omissions and commissions. And then, heaps of resentment about and anger about other people's omissions and commissions towards oneself. Hurt. That hurt is what is called why me syndrome. Why me? This is the cry. This is the pain. One is all clinging to it because one says, don't take away my sorrow. If you take away my sorrow, what is my justification for existing in the world? At least if I cry, people noticed and offer me a hanky. So what are you coming? You are coming with your Upanishad and you are going to say you're going to take away my sorrow. The ahankara resists. And the resentment I need, because how else will I survive? I have to have resentment. In fact, I received it from my parents. This is an heirloom. I received it from my grandparents. This is a family heirloom. Don't take away resentment. And anger I need for self-protection. Have you checked lately what the world is like? It's a dog-eat-dog world. It's a cutthroat place. What are you doing to me? Don't take away my defense mechanisms. Don't take away, in other words, my ajnanam. Don't take away my projections. The ahankara, the ahankara kampate, trembles and is very, 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 very upset. And then Vedanta, thankfully, is very soothing, like a mother. Let's say the child has grabbed the knife and then is refusing to give it to anybody. The mother will just call it, no, I'm not going to take it away. Come, sit in my lap, Look at the crow, look at the bird. Would you like this wonderful sweet I made just for you? And then showing that slowly the knife is taken back so that the child doesn't injure itself. Similarly, the goddess called Shruti, the goddess of knowledge, who is the Upanishad, Sakshat Upanishad, embodied in the form of the Upanishad, takes away the dangerous ayudhas, our defenses and offenses, very beautifully without even us knowing it. And as long as we are ready to sit in her lap, meaning expose ourselves to the vision, expose ourselves to knowledge, then all that is just taken care of. One is just taught the nature of the I. Just laughing, one learns. That's why Vedanta classes are so much fun, because one doesn't know what is being taken away. Truckloads of nonsense, truckloads of the ahankara, wrong identification, wrong messages of the ahankara is being taken out. In each exposition, in each expose to the way, exposing oneself to Vedanta, all these things go, leaving behind a shantata. There is a shanti, there is a peace, there is a joy, there is more accommodation, there is automatic self-growth. So therefore, enlightenment is not a something that happens to the self. Enlightenment is more to be thought of as a growing clarity in the discovery of the space of being the witness of everything rather than the participant and the agent of action and the one who is bemoaning the result of action. And how are we going to teach this? How to teach this? This is not even in the Kenopanishad, which was the subject of our last retreat. Even in the Kenopanishad, the teacher says, Yenas na vidmaha na vijanimaha ya ethat yathaitad anushishyat anyadeva tad viditat atho aviditat adhi. It is something that is other than the known. Viditat anyaha, meaning it's not known as an object. The I is not known as an object. Atho aviditat adhi, and it is not totally unknown either. It is not beyond that which is, unknown. It is not known as an object. Then he says, na vidmaha. The teacher says, we don't know. Na vijanimaha, we don't understand. Yatha etad anushishyat. How on earth are we going to communicate this to you? But thankfully, there is the parampara, there is a tradition. Yena stadvyacha chakshire, that which our teachers have taught us, says the Kenopanishad, that alone we are going to teach you. Very, very beautiful. And here too he says, what Shiva taught Parvati, that alone I am going to teach you. Through the mechanism of the pedagogy of Lord Shiva, which is what? Beautiful pedagogies are there, which is the use of indications. Lakshanaya. So through Lakshana Vakyas, through words that are used indirectly more as an indication of what one is. And the words that are deployed are again abstract words from which all the finitude has been removed, and they are deployed by the teacher, handled by the teacher in the form of a live means of knowledge. The Vedanta itself is a means of knowledge that doesn't compete with your eyes and ears, which simply gives you what your eyes and ears cannot. That is your own self, which cannot be objectified. Very, very beautiful. So that's why he says, what I will teach is a shadow. Looking at the shadow, you say, aha, this is what it's like. You see what causes the shadow by looking at the shadow. Similarly, by hearing the words, the Tattvamasi, Satchidananda, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, all this, by hearing these words, all the nonsensical identifications, the wrong identifications, drop, leading to a greater and greater clarity in the pursuit of the self. Vadavitan mathachayam. And then what? I'm going to teach you this. I have many ways of teaching this, Narahari says. I can teach you this in the form of the Guru Gita, just like, one of the texts Lord Shiva taught Parvati. I can teach you from some other way. I can teach you through Bhagavad Gita. I can teach you an Upanishad. But I think what will be fun is to teach you in the guise, I'm the medium of teaching. This is the daily life of the sages. I'm going to teach you from understanding the daily life of the sages. It's just like in the cake batter, you can put all kinds of raisins and dry fruits and all nuts and everything and fold it in. Similarly, the ingredients are the same. This is a vegan cake. So flour, oil, sugar. Okay. So this is all that is common. But then, one person will be folding in chocolate powder, another person dry fruits and nuts. So like this, there is some uniqueness to the presentation. And so this methodology of Vedanta, I am going to deploy in a capsule called the calendar, the daily calendar of the life of sages. So even from these two verses, you can imagine how, what a poet he is, how sophisticated is his knowledge of Vedanta. And for both these to reside in one person is just phenomenal. Very, very, very nice. And then, here, let us look at the next verse. Verse number 3, which is the last verse in this particular section before we go into the next section. Okay, so what did I do last time to share this? Let us do that again. Not that. Here it is. Yeah. Can you see? You're able to see?
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
good.
Swamini.
Thank you. Yasmin jagarane prapte Punarnidra na jayate yasmin jagarane prapte Punarnidra na jayate Sumangalam munindranam Pratarjagaranam hitat Sumangalam munindranam Pratarjagaranam hitat. Yasmin. Yasmin means in which. What is this which? Yasmin Brahmani. In which Brahman Jagarane prapte. Yasmin Brahmani Jagarane prapte. This is an absolute locative construction where you find multiple words in the seventh case. And so here it is not talking about location, which the seventh case usage is mostly for location in Sanskrit, but instead it is talking about a condition. When this happens, then this happens. When the sun rises, then the birds start to chirp. You know, that this is the kind of sentence which is here. Yasmin, in which Brahman, in which knowledge of Brahman, Yasmin Jagarane prapte, when the awakening takes place, Punar nidra na jayate. The one does not go back to sleep. Sleep does not come again. Sumangalam munindranam. Munindranam pratar jagaranam sumangalam hi tat. Tat pratar jagaranam. So the tat goes with pratar jagaranam. So the waking up in the morning, that waking up in the morning, tat pratar jagaranam. Who's waking up? Munindranam, of the most exalted of sages. Sumangalam. Sumangalam means most auspicious waking up is the waking up from ajnanam to jnanam. We'll see more about that. He here, the word he means yasmat, because. Yasmin jagarane prapte punar nidra na jayate. Waking up into which reality of Brahman as oneself. No more does one doze off into the sleep of self-ignorance. That kind of waking up, which is the waking up of the sages, is indeed the most auspicious. The dawn of enlightenment, the dawn of awakening to the truth of one's nature is indeed the most auspicious waking up, which belongs to the most auspicious of the sages. This is the this is the meaning of the verse. Let us see this more in detail. I mean, what is there? I mean, it's very simple but very profound. And what is there to see is a juxtaposition of a lay person and a jnani. And the lay person wakes up complaining, wiping the drool from the mouth, wondering why the alarm rang, hitting the alarm clock so that one can snooze for some more time, 10 more minutes. And then in that 10 more minutes has a terrible dream because one was supposed to be awake. But against using the free will, one went to sleep. And so some bad dream comes, one wakes up with a start. And then what happens? You know, one already is having a bad day. Actually, it's not the day that is bad or good. In fact, when I first came to the United States, I was always intrigued by this wish that people would give. Have a good day. I was thinking, what is good in a day? And the day simply is. And that means what? Have a good day means, I suppose, the blessing is, may all your desires, your raga, dvesha be fulfilled. May no one be mean to you. This is the wish or the prayer of the other person. But the day simply is The sun rises, the sun sets, the day in itself is not good or bad. In fact, even if difficult challenges one faces in the course of the day, what makes it good or bad is my own subjective projection on top of it. Yes, there is discomfort because of karma. The day can be uncomfortable, but really the good and the bad means I am putting my own projection on it. So usually by the time the lay person has woken up, one is already having a bad day because one recalls against one's wishes all the things that are left to do. And there are so many lists and so many things that need to be accomplished and which will never get done, and then one gets cranky because there are so many things to do and so little time, or one goes back to bed and turns over because one is in denial about all the things that are needing to be done, and this way the person starts the day very angry, upset, non-rejuvenated, not always, but many times this is how the person starts the day. Stressed out, even if not angry, totally stressed out. Feel as soon as you wake up that you're on the clock. The time has you in a vice grip. Oh no, already 6 o'clock. Oh no, I have to run. So the day makes you run. And then this is the residue of the raga dveshas that cause the day to become like this. And then one goes throughout the day, and the whole of this thing gets multiplied. Whatever one touches, it gets destroyed, including one's sanity. And this is what happens to the lay person. Now for the jnani, something very different. The jnani is waking up from a life of ajnanam into jnanam. Oh, the jnani was an ajnani before? Absolutely. That's the only kind of jnanam that makes it safe for us. If supposing the jnani was dropped from the sky, chanting Tattvamasi, chanting Aham Brahmasmi, then you know what? Then what is that jnani going to do to you? Nothing. How is that person going to teach you if they have not encountered the angst and the pain of ajnanam? It's like going to a therapist who has gotten their license after reading a few books. Freud. Okay, this is transference. Okay, transference means blah 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 blah. Projection means this. Counter transference means this. Okay, got it. Where is the exam? Let me write the exam. Oral exam. I have memorized everything, and then I'm just rattling everything off. And then they say, Shabash, fantastic, here is your degree. You can hang it up in your room and in your office and start your practice. Never, not in any country will the psychotherapist be let loose to practice without himself or herself undergoing psychotherapy. Same thing with Vedanta. Vedanta is super therapy. Because even the therapist needs Vedanta. Okay? Yeah, this is super therapy. Why? Because it doesn't stop at the source of the pain. One is not stuck at the source of the pain being the mother and the father or the early childhood scare givers. No. That is not when one is stuck at. Vedanta takes you to Bhagavan. Takes you to appreciate your parentage as being absolutely right for you and having a purpose in this particular life to help you to grow, to help you to overcome whatever that is needing to be overcome. Vedanta teaches you to make peace with each and every aspect of, every relationship, every aspect, every event, every situation, everything in the universe as a manifestation of the Lord. That is what Vedanta teaches. It erases all kinds of divisions by saying that the whole manifestation, the whole Jagat is nothing but Ishvara. And this Ishvara alone you are. As soon as you discover this, as soon as you give up your raga dveshas. This is the blessing of Vedanta. And so what use is a jnani who has herself or himself not undergone the transformation from ajnanam to jnanam? In fact, if you go to any kind of religious assembly, Kumbh Mela is going on now in Haridwar. Why, I don't know, during this pandemic, but doesn't matter. It is going on. And then if one were to go there, and then, you are not recognized as who you are. Nobody asks you for your name. Nobody cares what kind of knowledge you have discovered. Nobody cares that you think of yourself as a great teacher. Nobody cares. They only want to know your lineage. The lineage is everything in India. And that lineage gives you the force of that identity. It gives you the occupancy rights to occupy your rightful place as a transmitter of the lineage. Very beautiful. It is just so awesome. And the Guru in every Upanishad says, I will teach you in the same way as my teacher taught me. In the Viveka Chudamani also. And the student comes trembling to the teacher and says, I have been assailed by the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. I am in the hot, I am being assailed by the hot winds of samsara. And please rescue me, take me away from this. And then the teacher says, Ma bhaishta, don't be afraid. Asti upayah, there is a remedy for this. Why? Because I have undergone it myself, and as had my Guru, and his Guru, her Guru, his Guru, her Guru, all the way to Lord Shiva. And through the same path, from this jungle of samsara, where all these biting creatures and all these, clinging vines are grabbing you and sucking the lifeblood out of you, sucking the prana out of you. I will cut the cords with the scissors given to me by my Guru, and I will take you out of this jungle through the same path that I had walked before, and the Guru before me, and the Guru before me, and we can keep on going like this. You get the idea. There is safety in knowing that the jnani was at one point an ajnani. Why? Because we can trust such a teacher. And the second reason is because it offers a lot of hope, thank God. So if you could become a jnani from being an ajnani before, then there is hope for me to be a jnani. It's very inspiring. Otherwise, if somebody was an automatic jnani, then it is not inspiring at all. You were born like this, but I was not. How am I going to be like you? But here, the teaching is that even though the student approaches the teacher, it is until the knowledge is gained and assimilated without a shadow of doubt, without vagueness or without error. That is what it is. And the teacher teaches in such a way, the teacher is not condescending. No Vedanta teacher will be condescending or patronizing. I am God, but you are not. No such thing will come out of the mouth of a Vedanta teacher. And so there is no condescension, There is no patronizing, and then there is also zero manipulation. Zero manipulation. Because the Vedanta teacher, the Jnani, in the form of the one who is a Vedanta teacher, who is also a Jnani, does not care whether you come and become a student or not. Teaches everyone, just like the spring blesses the whole region with colorful flowers. The spring does not say, this person cut down a tree, I am not going to bloom for this person. No. Even if somebody injures the tree will still bloom and be available for that person to enjoy. And similarly, the teachers described in the Viveka Chudamani again, Shanto Danto Nivasanti Santaha. These sages, these jnanis are there, they are completely at peace with themselves, they don't need anything because they have found their purpose in life, which is understanding the truth of themselves as free of longing and free of want. So they don't want anything. Shanto Danto Nivasanti Santaha Vasantavat Loka Hitam Charantaha. Like spring, they just benefit the whole world. Their fragrance, the Tattvamasi fragrance, spreads far and wide and relieves people of their sorrow even without them intending it. Tirna Swayam Bhima Bhavarnavam. Bhima Bhavarnavam means the horrible, frightening ocean of samsara. Tirna Swayam. First they had crossed it themselves. Tirna Swayam Bhima Bhavarnavam Janan Anyanapi Tarayantaha. Now that they have crossed it themselves, they are being very generous and compassionate and helping others cross. This is the nature of the Jnanis under discussion. And so therefore, here the waking up of the Jnani into Atma Jnanam is discussed. And then everybody wakes up cranky, but the Jnani alone wakes up in joy, because the dawn of self-knowledge is a dawn like none other. Self-knowledge dawns means what? The self-knowledge brings with it the birds of Tattvamasi, the birds of the Mahavakya chirp in your ears, and the fragrance of the beautiful morning flowers waft in front of the nose. And so this is how it is. And the fragrance of the morning flowers is the fragrance of contemplation. The phala of contemplation wafts in front of you. And the Mahavakya Tattvamasi is so many birds chirping. The dawn, the red ball and the orange sun which is coming up, the red ball of the sun. It's so beautiful. That is the Shruti. Arising, the message of the Shruti, rising up to greet you. And the mild wind that is blowing is the wind of joy, limitless joy, that is giving you a hug, embracing you. This is what the Jnani's waking up is. Very idyllic waking up. Yasmin jagarane prapte. And what kind of a waking up it is? It is a waking up where you are no longer tired of life, where that ennui, that kind of a boredom is no longer there, where the pain and the stresses are no longer there, because you are free. The body may get tired, if so you rest it, that's all. There is nothing more to that. The mind may get tired, okay, go to sleep, but you, and where the I is located, which is where Yasmin, in Param Brahma, That I which is one with Param Brahma is neither tired nor despondent, is neither the agent of action nor the recipient of the results of action, and that I is in its sound place of just occupying its own glory. And therefore there is no regret, no fears, no tears. And one wakes up happy, and besides, there is no more going back to sleep of ignorance, there is no looking back. Yasmin jagarane prapte punar nidra na jayate. No more going back to sleep. No more saying I'm not ready to wake up. No more saying what is going on, this is not fair. No more saying anything like that. Punaha nidra na jayate. Once you know something, you cannot unknow it. Even a small word in Sanskrit, once you know the meaning, Rajju means rope. If I were to tell you that, now you know, Rajju means rope. Oh, but then I can forget. So maybe if I study Atma Jnanam, I will forget, and people have this as an excuse. I'm not attending Vedanta classes, Swamiji, because my memory is really bad. Unlike Rajju, this knowledge is not dependent solely upon memory. Thank God. Do you exist or not? If I ask you the question, you don't come to me and say, I don't recall, I don't remember, wait, let me think really hard, maybe I exist, maybe I don't. No, you know. Similarly, this knowledge is about the glory of you. Yes, Sanskrit you have to study. And then, again, a teacher of Vedanta should have studied and should know a few things. Because you have to chant the verses, you have to unfold the methodology, etc. But Vedanta is not studied in order to become a teacher. That's a poor reason to study Vedanta. Vedanta is studied for the sake of enjoying oneself, for the sake of self-enjoyment, not for the sake of becoming famous as a teacher. That would be really the wrong reason, and what a travesty. Then one is neither a good teacher nor a good student as a result of this kind of a, raga coming in the way. Vedanta is studied for becoming free from samsara. That is the only reason to study Vedanta. And then in the course of that, if whatever you talk is making sense, and if a few more people want to listen to you, then they invoke the teacher in you, and then you just acquiesce to teach. That is how. There is no guru there. Guru is a relational term. From the standpoint of Shishya, the disciple is what makes a person a guru. There is no ready-made guru waiting to come into somebody's life. That it's not the way it works. And so here, so beautiful. So in this awakening, that you cannot unknow what you know. You know yourself as Ishvara, Jagat Karanam, Brahma. No matter how much you try, you cannot walk this knowledge back. You cannot unknow it. I'm just saying this because sometimes people come and tell me, before Vedanta, at least I was ignorant and blissfully so. Now what have you done? I don't know this. I'm still in the process of gaining this knowledge. I don't know this fully. Yet I can't enjoy the things I used to enjoy in the past. What kind of things? I will ask. Meaningless things, mundane things. Mundane activities, mundane conversations. I used to have a great time. But now those things I don't like. You see, this is the power of the Vedanta. Even if you're not fully able to live in the truth all the time, a taste of Vedanta is enough, my friends, to transform you, to show you that there is something more than whatever I have been, whatever I have been leading, an excuse of a life. There is much more than this. And that is something beautiful. So it's very difficult. After becoming a student of Vedanta, it's very difficult to keep going to potlucks which are not satsangs, which are not spiritual, spiritually oriented. Because what will you talk about? What is there to talk about? Because they don't want to listen to your Vedanta. As soon as you open your mouth, they'll change the subject, or better still, they will stop inviting you gradually because they're not interested in what you learnt in the satsang or that you attended a Easter retreat. This is immaterial to them. They could care less. Yes, you talk about clothes, they will listen, they will have a few things to say, or you talk about your children, or you talk about real estate, or inflation, how costly things are getting. Okay, all these people will do. Or you discuss some movie, they are there with you. But you start talking about how Tattvamasi transformed your life, they will just zone out. This is and then, not that you are having a great time in such company anyway. You have to not only be quiet, that is hard, and then the whole time, and then on top of being quiet, you can't even listen, you can't even bear to listen to the conversation that is already there. So, yasmin jagarane prapte punar nidra na jayate. There is no going back to that place of ignorance and the activities generated from ignorance, the activities that I used to enjoy because I was ignorant, when I was ignorant, not a possibility. So, this is what the whole thing is. Before, one was going to the mall, and then one was going from the mall to a ball. Now when one thinks of the mall after Jnanam, one changes the spelling to M-A-U-L, a place where you go to get mauled of your pocket book. That is what mall is. And ball, maybe you used to enjoy some kind of cha-cha-cha dancing. Now it makes you ball, B-A-W-L. And this is what life is. After Vedanta, there is no going back. Oh, but then I'm friendless. Who says you are friendless? You are with a group of people listening to this. You can see them, you can enjoy them. That is why we have Gurukulam. That is why we have satsang. That is why we have people of like mind. You make new friends who are now at your same wavelength. So that is why there is no going back. And he says this as much, in which awakening, in which dawn, this is a dawn without dusk. Where one is, where all the things one enjoyed have been reduced to husk. This is the dawn without dusk. And this is just a glorious place to be, of unending light, unending glory. The Antahkarana is a well-lit place welcoming the darshan of Bhagavan. The inner heart, the mind, is a place which is not hoarded and boarded up by ragadveshas, by strong prejudices, preferences, nothing. It's a place of freedom where one lives like Ishvara. Yasmin jagarane prapte punar nidra na jayate. And then Sumangalam. Sumangalam means the most auspicious. Sumangalam Munīndra-Dinācārya pratar jagaranam hi tat. Pratar jagaranam tat pratar jagaranam. This kind of a waking up is Sumangalam, auspicious. Why? Because there is no more the darkness of ignorance. You have achieved your purpose. There is nothing more to achieve. The end. Mangalam, Sumangalam, a most auspicious dawn has arrived. As opposed to what? As opposed to the dawn of the everyday reality, which immediately changes into crankiness, dusk, etc. And then one goes back to sleep, one goes back to square one wakes up again and has a little desire for Vedanta, attends one class, half a retreat, 1/4 of a satsang, and then what? goes back to the sleep of ignorance, unable to commit. This is the inauspicious day of the Ajnanis, but for the Jnani the day is auspicious. Why? Every day is a good day because it never, there is no night. It's all bright, there is no night, and one is free of second guessing oneself. One is free of the complexes centered on the self. One is free of all raga dveshas. One is just in the endless enjoyment of the self as Brahman, as Ishvara. Very, very beautiful. And then, so therefore, this is the kind of waking up that is left to do. Then the next one. Now we enter another section called Shaucha Nirnayaha. So the section called Cleanliness. Shaucha, cleanliness. Shaucha Nirnayaha. Dehendriya manah prana buddhya hankara chetasi ashuchavatma bhavosau ashuchavatma bhavosa vashuchitvasya karanam ashuchavatma bhavosa ashuchitvasya karanam. So the cleanliness. Cleanliness means what? Some kind of, this is the next thing that one does after waking up. You wake up and then what happens? You go to the bathroom, towel in hand, and then what? You wash the face, wash out the eyes, and then this is what happens. So the cleanliness is there. But when you wake up in the regular waking up of the day, you know exactly what, that the whole body needs to be cleaned, the face needs to be cleaned, the mouth needs to be cleaned, you know this. But then this is a metaphoric waking up. And in the metaphoric waking up from ajnanam to jnanam, what is the thing that needs to be cleaned? And why? And above all, how? These are, this is what is what is being taught here. Very, very beautiful. We'll see that next time. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Later this evening, 8 o'clock, there will be time for questions and answers, and it will be and we'll have bhajans also. It will be an informal time where you can seek some clarifications. It can be about the classes we are studying. It can also be about anything you want to ask Vedanta related, and so you're welcome to join for that. All the best. Om.